Hey Billy, wanted to show you a little bit about the intake setup on this motor here. This is the original Quadrajet cast iron manifold that was on it when I got it, and as you can see, you're going to get it. I'm going to wrap it up, bubble wrap, and send it along with the car. But I don't know if you can see that right there. That's 1870. So this was it makes, you know, the dates match up. This is a numbers matching intake to this car, so you definitely want to hang on to it. But I went with the Torker 2, which is an aluminum Edelbrock aftermarket, and it shaved about 30 pounds off the engine. Of course, it's aluminum, and it was 30 pounds lighter. I weighed them. So this thing's a boat anchor. I wanted it to look as factory as possible. I didn't want it to look crazy. I wanted it to look like GM would have done it. And in case you didn't know, GM put an LS6. This is an LS5 car. They put an LS6 in a 71, 1 year only. And it had a aluminum intake with a Holley carburetor on it. So I kind of mimicked what GM did. I didn't want to lose all your vacuum hookups and everything like that. Choke, I didn't worry about the choke so much because it had to be a chokeless carb for this car, and I'll tell you why. As you can see here, this is a Holley 750 vacuum secondary HP. HP's for the high performance line of the Holley, and as you can see, it doesn't have a choke horn. Choke horn's gone on this carburetor. It came from the factory like that. It's a high performance model because with the intake, with the air cleaner on here, which is it right here, you can see how it's a drop base air cleaner. So it hugs around the carburetor. Well, that's how much room you got. I don't know if you can see that. That's how much room you've got between the carburetor and the top of the air cleaner lid. So if you put a choke horn in there, it really hinders your airflow. So I went with a chokeless carb, which is what I got here. And as you can see from the other video, it has no issues at all starting up. So who needs a choke, right? That's the way I looked at it. So after I put this intake and carburetor setup on here, Quadrajets are fine, but when it comes to adjusting them for performance, I'm no expert on them. I'm more comfortable with a Holley, and in my opinion, the Holley will blow away the Quadrajet. So Holley it is. After I went with this setup, I started noticing some heat soak. And if you've never heard of heat soak, that's when, see this fuel. There's no rubber lines in this fuel setup. This is all hard line, and it's just like the LS6 setup. That's what this is. It's LS6 fuel line, and I started because it hugs the engine so close. This is my opinion, and this is a low profile intake, meaning it kind of traps the air around the fuel line here. It would start percolating in here, and it's just like if you shut the gas off the car. Boom, it'd start to die, and if you could keep the gas flowing, it would catch up and get some cooler fuel in there and rectify itself. But so when I found out I had that problem, I put a heat shield on it. Right, you can see the heat shield right here. The heat shield, and along with this, this is a heat wrap. I put it on the fuel line here. You can see it down to some heat sleeve, all the way down to the fuel pump. New fuel pump, by the way, brand new. After I did that, it didn't have any more problems. No more fuel percolation for me. So, having said that, I'm just showing you this so you'll know what all this is about. And if you come across that problem. So here we go, desert from Ohio weather. That's probably, you just let me know what it's like, and I can tell you whether or not that's the problem or not, probably. As you can see here, you got this is just like the factory did it. For your brake line here, this runs your power brakes. Vacuum right off the intake, just like the factory did it. Same way here, you got your other, this runs your wiper door and your headlights. This is the vacuum for that, just like the factory did it, into the intake. I'll come around the other side. This linkage system is LS6 linkage system. Didn't go fancy with the chrome, it looks factory. So it's all hooked up here. You got your spring down here. And it's you can see, ready to go. So when I put this on here, I noticed that this right here, this part of the linkage was hitting the air cleaner, the under part of the air cleaner lid right here, and it's not being used. You can see it's not hooked up. This is for a return spring. If you put a spring here, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to keep it factory looking. You can shave this off, grind it off, but I didn't really want to do that. It's still an option if you really wanted to. I did this instead. This is a spacer. It's a 1/2-inch spacer that I put right there, and that raises the air cleaner up just a little bit. It probably helps with the airflow too, to tell you the truth. Keeping the lid above the carburetor there, but that raised it up just enough so where this clears it. So that took care of that problem. I'm just telling you that so you'll know what that is, in case you wanted to do something different. This is your baby. Now you tailor it like you need. Yeah, that. And I was wanting to just go over this with you here. This is where your sending unit is, your temperature sending unit. It bolts right in through the side of the head. I don't know if you can see that very well. But anyway, there it is, right there. It's got a wire hooked to it. It goes through the dash and right to the temperature gauge. I never replaced it. That's the original one that was on it when I got it. It never did overheat on me, but I always was kind of questioning whether, because it always seemed to run cool. I always felt like it didn't run that cool. It never overheated, but I didn't feel like it ran that cool. So one of the first things, you being in the desert again, you might want to have somebody replace that. Get a new one in there, just to see. It's a cheap part to buy, just to see if it. Just so you know you're getting the right reading on your fuel gauge, on your temperature gauge. I mean. And let's see what else can we go over here. Oh, the wiper system. I want to show you this wiper system. I had bought a part for this. Your wiper, you've seen it in the other video. Turn the wipers on up here with your switch. Well, before you do that, you'll want to come down here. Now this is going to be... I need it light. Anyway, right. Let's see. Yeah, I see my hand there. Yes. There's two. Hang on, I'm gonna get a light.